Hi there, welcome back to the Flask Mastery series. I'm Gorret Golden, and in this session we are going to implement an endpoint that updates the details of a particular book by its ID. So let's get started. Now for this endpoint, there would be cases whereby an author wants to maybe update the price of a particular book. So we are going to go ahead and make reuse of the endpoint that updates the company details. So I'm going to copy this up and paste it here. So I'm going to update the comment to update book details, and the blueprint is going to be updated to books. So for this case, with the fact that we are going to be updating all the details of the book or a particular attribute of a book, for example, it can be the price or it can be the ISBN number, the methods that we are going to be used are going to be put and patch. And still for this endpoint, since we are going to be updating a particular book, we have to ensure that we are using a unique route parameter, and this is going to be the ID. Then the method is going to be updated to update book details. So first things first, if we are to update a particular book's details, we have to first of all retrieve that book by its ID from our books table. So this is going to be updated to get book by ID first, and the variable that we are going to use to store the book details is going to be book. So I'm going to update this to book, and if we are to get the details of this book, we have to make a query against the book class, and we filter by the incoming ID request, and then we ensure that we are getting the first record for which the ID exists. And for cases whereby an ID does not exist within our books table, we have to ensure that we are returning a response that the book is not found. So if not book, then we return book not found, and then the status code. So for this case, we are also going to ensure that the book details are only updated by the admin or the author to which the book belongs. So if logged in user.user type is not that of the admin, or the user ID to which the book belongs does not belong to that of the currently logged in user, then we have to go ahead and return a response that you are not authorized to update the book details. So if all those are false, meaning that the ID exists and the user ID of the currently logged in user is that of an admin or the user ID to which the book belongs, then we have to go ahead and ensure that the book details are updated. So for this case, an author may want to update the price of a book or all the details of that book. That means that the first thing that we have to ensure is going ahead and storing that information that is going to come from the request body. And this information is always stored based on the attributes that we have on our book class. So instead of this, I'm going to go ahead and update this section very fast. So having updated this, first of all, you have to understand that for cases whereby all the information is going to be passed in within the request body, we shall go ahead and update that information accordingly in terms of the title, the price unit, and all these other attributes. But now, for example, when you check out the title, because I've defined a variable title and the value is request.json.get the title and then book.name. So what this means is there would be cases whereby an author wants to update maybe something like a price, and the price unit are not the title. That means that if the title does not exist in the request body, we have to go ahead and ensure that we are keeping the book details or the book title to the old title that was stored before making this new request. And same applies for all these other attributes. And for cases whereby a particular attribute, like maybe the description, has been updated, we shall go ahead and update that field. So while updating the book, we also have to ensure that the ISBN and the book title, first of all, the ISBN must be unique. Then secondly, before we update the details of the book, we have to ensure that the incoming title being given for this book does not match an already existing title for a particular book for this author. And also we have to ensure that the newly incoming ISBN does not match the ISBN of an already existing book. So I'm going to make reuse of this logic by, I think the best way would be making use of what we created here in terms of the validation on the create new book endpoint. So I'm going to copy this up. So for that case, we are going to update this first condition to cater for the ISBN. So if the ISBN is not equal to, so this is going to be book.isbn, and instead of the company, we are going to update this to book. Then we filter by the ISBN, and then the variable of the ISBN, this that we have stored from the incoming request. So if this is not false, then we are going to go ahead and update this to ISBN already in use. And then this is going to be the same case for the book title. So this will be book.title, and instead of ISBN, this is going to be the title. And then you also ensure that it's only valid for the author to which the book belongs. So user ID will be equal to the user ID. Now the fact that we are using different variables here, this is going to be equal to the logged in user. So this is going to be equal to logged in user, then dot first. So if this is not false, then we have to go ahead and return book title already exists, already in use. So having updated that, we are going to go ahead and update this to book, and instead of name, this is going to be updated to title. Then instead of the origin, we have the price for cases whereby all this information is being updated. So I'm going to update this to the price unit, and then we are going to have the description. Then having updated that, we also need to update to cater for the genre if it has been provided. Then same applies to the ISBN if it exists in the request body. Then we also have the publication date. Then we also have the image. Same applies to the company ID. Then we also have the number of pages. This is going to be pages. Hoping that I'm not forgetting any other. So having updated this, we shall go ahead and ensure that we are committing, and then we have to update the response. So this is going to be title. Details have been updated successfully. Then instead of this key being company, it's going to be updated to book. So what I'm going to do is going to be precise. I'm going to cut this section, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy this up and paste it here. So having completed that, we are now going to go ahead and test our endpoint to ensure that it is working as expected. So I'll head over to Postman and I'll create a new request. So the request name is going to be update book. Then the URL has been defined as edit/the ID. So this is going to be books/edit, then /the ID. So we are going to use ID1, and I will ensure that we are passing in the authorization headers. So since we are going to be updating the book, we also need the body. So I'll update this to row, and we shall use a put method. So now for this endpoint, we are going to be editing book ID 1 for Nabatanzi Daphne. So we are going to try to update the title to Python for Beginners edition new, something simple, just something precise. So Python for Beginners, then this can be something like edition, then we say new one and make a request. Okay, I'm going to update the access token very fast. So when I make a new request, book object has no attribute name. Okay, so there would be an issue somewhere. Alright, so instead of this having book.name, it's going to be book.title. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new request. Alright, so when I make a new request, we are getting SQL expression element or literal value expected got user 2. Alright, okay, so within our condition that ensures that the incoming title must not match an already existing title for a book for this author. I think, okay, now instead of us using logged in user, because this is going to be like an object, we have to pass in the exact ID. So we have to pass in current user instead of logged in user. So this is going to be updated to current user. Then I'll make a new request. So when I make a new request, we can see that the status code is okay. And let's check up the title of this book. So we can pretty see that the title has been updated to Python for Beginners edition new one. So we're also going to go ahead and update the price. So we can pretty see that all this other information has been kept in place. In other words, it hasn't been updated. So let's try to update the price to maybe 100,000. Now instead of the title, this is going to be the price, and the price value is going to be 100,000. And when I make a new request, we can see that the value for the price has been updated. So we're also going to try to play around with the ISBN to ensure that our validations are working as expected too. So this will be the ISBN, and it's going to be a string. I think the best way is for us to work with the ISBN for this book, book ID 2. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this up. So I'll copy the ISBN of book ID 2 and paste it here. I'll go ahead and make a new request. So you see that if I make use of the ISBN of book ID 2, we are getting a response that this ISBN is already in use, meaning that we cannot reuse it. So I'll just update this to maybe ISBN and update this to 50 and make a new request. So having made the request, we can pretty see that the ISBN has also been updated. So lastly, we are going to update the title to a title that already exists. Actually, we are going to reuse the title of book ID 2. So let me try to update this to the title for book ID 2 is Python for Beginners edition 2. So Python for Beginners edition 2. Actually, I will ensure that I just copy this because I see there is a difference when it comes to uppercase letters somewhere. So I'll copy this up and paste it here and make a new request. So when I make a new request, in other words, I'm trying to update the title of book ID 1, but giving it a title for book ID 2. So the response that is expected is the right response, book title already in use. So that means that our logic is working as expected. I think that is all for this session. Thanks for watching. Do not forget to like and subscribe if you found this session very helpful to you. See you again in the next session.